Well, hello everyone. I'm outside my hotel here, about to go into a little grocery, and we've got some ambulance coming. Before I hop Uber, I slept in a little bit today. I was up late last night trying to get this video uploaded, and anyway, so yeah, I just decided to take the pressure off. We'll kind of see what happens when we get there, but I'm gonna grab a little bit of food and something to drink, and maybe do a little walking this morning, and maybe I'll do some walk and talk and catch an Uber halfway or something. All right, walk and talk. So I'm in between watching Paul's live stream from last night this morning, so I was getting ready, and if you watch my video tonight, you'll hear his rant in the real time with Bethel McGrew and their frustrations related to what he was talking about. And I have to say, I mean, what is the steel man? Is it that there are people that are interested in the plenary sessions that don't know about the corner, that don't know about the relationships, and Paul is so relational and so pastoral that, you know, there are people that are interested in trying to glean what they can from the conversations. For me, though, I did have this realization that you can, like, I mean, except for like the introduction speech by Philippa or I don't know, some of the stuff you'll be able to, for one, you'll be able to listen later, but two, a big part of what these people are about is already out there. Like hearing Jonathan Peugeot and Peterson talk about identity is, you know, but maybe that's the point, is the brief exposure that someone gets a meme from one of those guys that they didn't have before, and they're able to go track that down and continue the rabbit trail that many of us have already gone down years ago. So I think that's the steel man for those such things. There's also people here from a lot of other sectors that are different personalities, and in those sectors they have different interests. So, but I feel what Paul's talking about, and seeing it in real time, and so I think that's also the nature of Paul's hyper aware, because he talks to people. There was I fell asleep listening to it last night, but there was a video released from Mark already that I wasn't in there for. As a Harvard professor talking about happiness, and the title was like, "You can't get happiness from Zoom." And the reason I clicked on it was because that, I mean, well, there's something to the fact that Jordan Peterson happened on YouTube. This little corner happened on YouTube. It happened in Zoom / StreamYard. You know, so those are the types of things I think that have to be like contended with, you know, and anyways, those are the things I wonder about. And so if you're in the digital space and you're consuming the digital ideas and information, but you come here because of those people, even to be in proximity to a Peterson, a Peugeot, or whoever else, like, even for them to understand that you could do like, hey, sign up and there'll be a 500 person limit for this speaker, and you can, access an hour with that person, and they'll take questions, and I don't know, not totally just out and about among, but when I went to the passion conferences of 15, 20, 60,000 people, they were able to do, you got into breakout groups, And then those breakout groups, then you had like, they would put you in pods, and then you would be with those pods the next day, you know, of 8 to 10 people or something. And you know, so they facilitated, they broke it down. And again, you know, we're talking about, you don't want to tell adults what to do, but I just saw when Paul put out when he put out the call, people were like, what's Paul doing? I had 3 people say that to me, and I mean, 3 people for me to like fly across the ocean and be excited about something. And these are people that are being interviewed and being asked to have podcasts. And like Bethel's been interviewed by Justin Brierley and the previous prime minister from Australia, who is on the board of ARC. You know, and she's wanting to just so I think there's that kind of stuff. But there's people like, probably like Glenn or Justin, who are like, what Paul was saying, they're kind of, this is kind of more their way, that their modus operandum for, you know, for how they do networking and stuff. So, all right, I'm gonna hop Uber. All right, well, I'm back in the conference center, and I was late for the plenary session, so I just thought I would like say who's got booths. We'll do a little product placement. In Search of Truth, Classical Education Society. Britain's strictest headmaster. So we've got a lot of education over here. I've seen her on trigonometry before. Integrally. Find interesting dialogues that make sense in a complex world. So this is something to do with build your reputation through good faith argumentation. Integrally. That's interesting. For anybody interested, hit up the QR code. More in common. Copenhagen Consensus. Best things first. Yeah. The most impact per dollar for philanthropic development. Adam Smith Institute. Truth Rising. It's a big Great Britain's news channel. Oh, yeah. So this is the one that Bethel was on. Focus on the Family, Colson Center. A new film for Focus on the Family and the Colson Center. You know, ARC's conservative when they've got Focus on the Family in the house. Oh. Let's see. Freedom in the Arts. Students for Liberty. Anya Hersey Ali's Courage Media. That's cool. Here's Unheard. Love their stuff. Conversations they're having. The Spectator. Another interesting British media company. Oh, look. There's a small lecture hall playing. So it looks like they're going to have some breakout. This is one of the breakout sessions. Oh, I guess this is what's Douglas Murray's on the main stage. I do like Douglas Murray. So, I wonder if these seats will be open later. Sitting in the middle of the library. Oh, swag. Should I get some ARC swag? If this doesn't tell you something about ARC, they went as far to have ARC cufflinks made. There were people talking about this painting, or this, this drawing. The Culture Wars. And it's got anarchy, MAGA country, the intellectual dark web, Google, Meta, World Economic Forum, Davos, social justice warriors, Black Lives Matter, dirtbag left, libertarian socialists, big pharma, universities. Those are like all the Ivy Leagues, Twitter, X, the town square, trans rights activists, Bitcoin miners, YouTube gurus. It's Chris Williamson, and I don't know if that's Frog Twitter. Oh, MAGA country. Tradwives, New Atheism, Unheard, Comedy and Podcasts, Christianity, Robert Barron Peugeot, Anya Hirsi Ali. Oh, they got the dude, PragerU, New Colleges, Conservatives, Brexit, Conspiracy Theorists. They got Alex Jones QAnon over here. Oh, it's pretty fun. This is a picture that Jordan Hall and I took a video in front of. Hey,
how's it going, right?
Good. Yeah, man. I was just doing some vlogging here.
I'm the artist.
Oh, well, hey.
Right.
What's your name? Joseph
My
Fox.
name's JG Fox.
JG Fox.
Signed by JG.
Yeah, it's I recognize all of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're as deep in this as I am. I drew it while I was listening to podcasts over weeks and weeks.
Yeah. Here, let me ask you about it. I've got another microphone. Okay. Just a second.
What's the vlog for?
My podcast. I have a YouTube channel.
Okay, cool.
And
Wanna clip it on?
yeah, I'll make sure it's on. Well, I'm gonna pause this. Okay, I've got JG Fox.
Yeah, that's right.
He's the artist for the Culture Wars, and so yeah, tell me about this.
Well, I drew it over a few weeks, and I was listening to podcasts the entire time, and I kept getting more ideas of who to put in it. It's like I based it on battle maps from the Royal Archives, and so in the 1600s, 1700s, if there was a big battle, you'd have someone would draw an etching of everything happening all at once, and so I thought I'd do one of the Culture Wars, and so it's always like you're on a hill looking out at the whole scene of the battle, and I put in every sort of big name that I could think of.
Yeah, it's pretty comprehensive.
Yeah. There's been a few people coming up complaining that they aren't in it.
They've been doing what?
They've been complaining that they aren't in it or that I missed someone
Oh,
out.
yeah, I'm so mad. My 600, 700 sub channel's not on here. How did you miss it?
Maybe next year. You've got to build up those subs. And, so I just tried to fit it in with the narrative of a battle map. The universities are a big, citadel, which is,
okay.
like a star fort. You've got Gamergate as an actual gate, like the Brandenburg Gate. You've got militant atheists. Tradwives are in a beautiful little suburban,
homes, neighborhood.
hanging out washing and stuff. You've got all the different podcasts in the little city there.
Yeah.
You've got the town square of X or Twitter. And this was about the time when Elon was buying it. So Elon's coming in with a big army of people.
Oh, I see.
And then Dorsey's leaving by a back door there.
Fun.
And there's people being pelted with tomatoes and things. There's a court of justice in the middle.
Public opinion.
Right, yeah, that kind of thing. A lot of judgment there.
Gotcha.
And you've got trans rights activists as a big sort of maze that makes out the size of or the shape of what's it called? Like the symbol of what is it? When you male and female.
The XY,
and
the
something
chromosomes.
else. I can't remember what that one's called.
Like the chromosome signs.
Yeah, but there's one for like that trans people use or like genderqueer people use with another one on there, like to represent everything,
Oh, okay.
Then feminism is sort of island. It's under assault a little bit.
Oh,
You've
I
got
see.
a swimming pool with some changing rooms. There's J.K. Rowling.
J.K.
with
Rowling in Hogwarts
nice
back there.
Hogwarts-style castle. You've got the Dark Enlightenment with Curtis Yarvin is attacking the cathedral here.
Oh yeah.
A Trump rally.
Mm-hmm.
There's Frog Twitter with a Bronze Age pervert. The Dark Mountain. Libertarians are in a little fort with a sign out saying "Please fuck off."
You've got, it says based across here.
It's roughly split between based and woke. Although some people are on this side because
woke.
like-
I see it now. Based, woke. Okay.
because James Lindsay's on this side, but he's like
he's a man unto his own. Here.
he's driving a little he's leading an attack on the World Economic Forum. And this lady is with the Tavistock, but she wrote. She was one of the journalists who exposed it, and so not everyone's in the place because they're one of those.
This is Occupy Wall Street and Gamergate are kind of like, old school.
Yeah, right.
Pre-ID intellectual dark web.
Yeah,
You've got
right.
a spot up there.
Yeah, I just saw Benjamin Boyce this morning. He just came by.
Yeah.
I saw him.
Yeah.
I showed him where he was on it.
Oh, where's he at? That's him
just
right
there
there.
with
Oh,
Evergreen,
Benjamin with Evergreen. He's a friend.
Oh yeah, I've been on his podcast before.
Okay.
A little while ago.
Fun.
Yeah. And what else we got? Oh, I put myself in there quite vainly.
The artist.
The artist with a little easel,
Very
just drawing
nice.
the scene. There's incels down here in some little hovels, and Peterson is leading them across the sea like Moses parting the ocean.
Oh wow.
Over to Christianity.
Oh man, that's good.
You've got Ayan Hirsi Ali
Yeah.
is taking a little walk over to Christianity. I
Yes.
think while I was drawing this, she wrote that article for Unheard
Oh.
where she was saying.
So
that
you
she
got
was
you like
Christian.
add her in there.
So I thought I'd put her in walking over.
So
Got conspiracy theorists as a
Alex
with
and QAnon,
crop
all
circles,
all to their own.
some suspicious cross circles, and this is like a walled garden of offline, like a Garden of
Oh.
Eden, and in there is that's your mum and dad. They've all got numbers, and then down the bottom there's a list of people.
Okay.
So 102, your
I'll
mum
give
and dad.
it. Okay. I'll give this. People can pause it and maybe follow along or somewhere.
The
But
prints are for sale, I should say, with Unheard. So if you go to Unheard's shop, I think it's
Okay. Oh, you can buy it.
shop.unheard.com, you can buy prints of these, and a smaller version with a gold foil.
oh, that's nice. Get it bigger. Well, that's fun.
And then I also did this piece which I did for Unheard's club.
Political herds.
Unheard have a members club in Westminster, which has a restaurant and things, and they wanted a big centerpiece for above the mantelpiece. And so I made this piece.
And you got a book.
Yeah, there's
Prints.
there. Yeah.
So man, they're just like pumping you real hard over here. That's
well,
awesome.
yeah, sort of. I tried, but yeah.
Very nice.
don't know
Well,
what
I
else I
appreciate.
got.
No, that's good. I appreciate it, man. We'll close it down.
No problem.
Well, I'm gonna make a members only. Throw the dogs a bone. It's trying to keep up with creating some kind of narrative, but also keep my eyes and ears open to opportunities. That's some loud applause. I'm missing this whole session. It must be a good one, but I just decided to come straight here, and I kind of set up I think Paul is planning to do his estuary here in this corner. We're gonna have a arc estuary, and so I kind of try to set up some chairs that commandeer them for that purpose for them. And I'm planning to do a recording of the estuary, but there won't be audio. It'll just be like some clips of the event happening and whoever's going to participate. That was per Paul's request, because people if it's not native on YouTube, then maybe it becomes performative in a different way that he wants it to be here. So I'm going to try to capture as much of that as I can. And what else is going on? Hung out with Jordan Hall a little bit this morning here, and he's not going to any of the plenary sessions. I think Paul's talked about that on his review. So there's this really interesting picture, and you'll see it in the video that comes out tomorrow, of an artist made this visual representation of the culture wars, kind of from YouTube, podcast, land, and it's I got to interview him. And what else? Don't forget, if you're a member, that if you want to keep up, I'm doing some stuff on WhatsApp, and there's a community post that I posted for members only. You'll have to track it down, but there's a link to that WhatsApp. And what else? Oh, I've seen Sargon of Akkad a few times. I don't have it in me just to go up to him. And then, what else? That was for Joseph, by the way. And yeah, feeling better today. I got up and had I went up to the little store and got a little hot, cheesy bread breakfast and something to drink. And oh man, I was exhausted this morning. But feeling good. Interested to see how this day plays out with the Estuary meetings that Paul's doing. And what else? Oh, I saw Burn Power at the end of Paul's live stream. He mentioned, and mostly not working, hit me in my comments that he had mentioned me, so I tracked the clip down, and that he wants to interview me, which is exciting. He said he's interviewed a lot of people. I want to get his perspective from the corner. And so it's like, that's an affirmation of, going back to my conversation with Luke about building things, like people can see. And what are you trying to build? Are you just trying to build subscriber base? Or I don't think he's necessarily looking at my subscribers. I think he's looking at building a conversation. And so that was encouraging. And a lot of great comments on the videos. My buddy Graham Pardun sent a comment. I saw he was paying attention to Paul's stuff, and so what else? I'll probably buy my kids the Jonathan Peugeot books. That's what I'll probably, from ARC, will probably take home. Support Symbolic World, Jonathan, and I saw that the Symbolic World crew had their own roundtable last night that Neil deGrade posted on social media, and it's kind of like they're doing their own version. They're a tight-knit group, and I'm friendly with John and Neil and stuff, and they're kind to me, but I'm TLC. It's just the way it is. I'm wearing my Symbolic World swag, and I think that's I don't know, that's just part of my thoughts on the relationships between. I had a long conversation with Cadell the other day, unrecorded. We talked about relationships between communities, and TLC and Symbolic World. Obviously with our Midwest Estuary and Peugeot will be speaking. These things. It's kind of, it's cool, and it's fun. So, all right. Here with a big time supporter of the corner, Shadow Cabal member. We're about to do some. Okay. Shadow Cabal member here. We're gonna with Upcycle, and what are your thoughts on ARC so far?
Well, it's a lot. It's big. It's bigger than I expected. Interestingly enough, at some point I got some cognitive dissonance, but in a positive way. I was sitting in the main hall, and I said to myself, "Oh, that's the Jolly Heretic. Oh, that's Eric Wildstein. I'm turning on my back. It was Robert Rear. So a lot of people are here. A lot of people that I wasn't expected to see. It's awesome to see great representation from TLC. So that's awesome. Yeah,
TLC reps.
Yep.
So we're trying to hold down this spot for Estuary, but we're
failing.
We're failing currently. I thought this would defend the area, but we'll try again. So
we need some saving throws.
We do need Grim. Send out some saving throws. And so do you have a favorite speech that you've listened to, or the one that really resonated with you?
Well, the one with Peterson.
Today?
yesterday. The
Yesterday.
one when he was speaking with Peter Thiel. That one was good. And and the first one, the very first one from Heers.
I did too. I enjoyed it too. Rafe and Paul critiqued that a lot, but I happen to like it myself. But the interesting one about the Peter Thiel, it was very kind of. I don't know if you ever saw those 1984 Apple commercials. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it felt like that.
Yeah, it was a little bit.
A little bit.
It was
cringe.
like Peter, was whenever it was Steve Jobs looking over. No. It was not Steve Jobs. It was Bill Gates looking over Steve Jobs, and there's this huge Peter Thiel head looking over Jordan Peterson. So
Apple versus PC.
yeah, so there's some symbolism there. It'd be interesting to see how that continues to go. So, all right, we'll keep going here, man. What's up, everybody? So right now, Paul is hosting his first ever ARC Estuary breakout group, side stream, and he's got people from the corner like Upcycle, Bethel McGrew, Jordan Hall, Rafe Kelly, and some people that have also done some randos on his channel. And we have a new participant that just met Paul and Jordan yesterday, and people that have been paying attention to the corner. So it is a diverse group, and a lot of really interesting thinkers through all different sectors. Paul has been talking about how important at a place like ARC, when you have all of these high-powered, successful, or broadly or deeply thinking people, and then you're in just a crowded room yelling, trying to posture or do that whole game. And hopefully the people here, we've got some influential people that on the internet, relatively speaking, can speak to this experience that they're going to have. There's going to be another ARC, there's going to be another Estuary this afternoon, so hopefully they could maybe invite other people to participate and see who might be interested in that. So, and I saw like last night, Dirt Poor Robbins posted on, Neil DeGrade posted, they did a symbolic world roundtable, and so you kind of see this pattern of needing to discuss and commune, but also cross-pollinate is the magic of Estuary, even within the meme and the name. The salt and fresh waters coming together, trading ideas, trading environments, and I don't know there's several people that have been writing or speaking about the rise of the generalist, and that and even within sectors, like the way that STEM and different things have been set up in the last, decades, is highly, medicine's like this too, like high specialization, and the idea of the generalist has been kind of depleted or diminished. But we live in a time now where it seems like it's important that people who are broadly exposed to ideas that can create synthesis to create new ideas, that highly specified people that are kind of so niche, so into their specialties that it's hard for them to innovate, hard for them to see outside of that. And Estuary could either take specialists and partner them with generalists and create those innovations. And so I'm really excited for Paul, and I wanted to capture this moment. I'll do some more, some video shots here, and I used my other camera. We tried to meet in the main meeting, and the first round was just too loud in there to even hear or understand, and so everybody just got up and took off, and to find a quieter, more conducive space to conversation. And so I think that's even a question, is creating space for conversation. And if you follow my channel, my podcast, yours truly, the meme for that is conversation craft, and Estuary is conversation craft. Podcasting is conversation craft, and they are at different levels of the hierarchy or different levels of the stack on, podcasting 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 1 to 1. Estuary can do 1 to 6, 1 to 10 maybe, and we're looking at the same kind of time frame, 1 to 2 hours to get ideas out together. So I'm excited to share this tomorrow, and probably will break some of this into an individual highlight for Paul. The Estuary protocol is simple. It was developed by Paul van der Klee and John Van Donk as a part of their response to the meaning crisis. The protocol goes like this. First, introduce yourself. Tell about yourself, a little bit of your background and how you got here. And then it's the 3 Ps. Pitch your idea, what's been most salient to you, what's been most meaningful to you, something that you've wanted to talk about. It could be intellectual, propositional, something about Estuary. There are variations on this. Round 3 is you point to the idea that you most want discussed, generally not your own. So you point to the idea from the person that you found most compelling. And then a vote is tallied, and the idea that had the most attention and salience begins the conversation, which is round 4. Play. Point, pitch, play. Now you get to play with the idea together. You get to try to synthesize, you get to try to innovate, you get to try to empathize, you get to try to understand. It's simple, yet powerful. Something maybe like elegant. And it's changing certain parts of the world. It's changed this corner of the internet. It's changed me, and I'm glad to be a part of it. Thanks, Paul. From my experience of doing it digitally online and YouTube StreamYard streams is, it goes, there's a theme that rises up organically from something like the collective subconscious of the group, from the spirit of the group, and beautiful things happen. Relationality happens. Sometimes vulnerability happens. Sometimes, exciting ideas are solidified or understood. Your own ideas are understood better. So, all right. To Estuary. Right. And you've been following Paul and Corn. You mentioned Vervaeke and all stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Oops. All right, I'm here with Father Matthew. He's been following along the corner for, I don't know, how many years have you been paying attention to corner stuff?
Maybe a year and a half.
Okay, year and a half, and he's here at ARC. You're an Orthodox minister in Manhattan.
That's right.
Or priest, sorry. My Protestantism showing.
Close enough.
And he just participated in Paul van der Klee's first ARC Estuary, and I wanted to just kind of get his initial reaction and response to doing Estuary for the first time with Paul.
Yeah, the format and the rules are really good. I think Paul's done a good job figuring out some basic kind of boundaries to the discussion that really help people open up. This particular Estuary was it was like getting thrown in the deep end. It was a lot more vulnerable and open and intimate than I would have thought. So that was really wonderful. That was really wonderful. And the great thing is, after that, it seemed to me really opened up like opportunities for like real friendships and connections beyond it and outside of it. And there's definitely like a depth that I think is achieved with that Estuary structure that gets you to a more deep place faster than just sitting down and having a conversation, right? I love that. And I was excited to participate in it for the first time because the potential of thinking through how might this type of model be helpful in my own ministry, providing that church adjacent space for people to sort of make their way more into the center. I think it's a good format for creating on-ramps for people into the faith who are sort of, in liminal spaces and struggling and working through things, and they can sort of put their toe in a little bit.
Yeah. So thank you for that. I don't know if I have any other questions off the top of my head. Was there? You already gave your initial responses. Let's see. I wasn't prepared for this. So
That's all right.
I was just gonna see if there was another kind of point to bring out something. You talked about using it yourself, Paul. Yeah. Well, okay. Let's just do the ARC question. What are your thoughts on ARC so far?
Well, I actually haven't attended very many of the main sessions. I mean, they've been good to think through stuff, but really the real reason why I was here was for things like the Estuary, to make personal connections and meet people and build those relationships. And it's definitely good for that. I mean, the type of people it brings together from a lot of different angles, right? Because it's not just like a religious or an academic or a business or a political conference. It's sort of all of those things. That's really great. And so the type of people we're bringing together has been really good. But I think that, this sort of stuff is sort of like, that happened here, like this, is probably some of the real best work going on at ARC, sort of behind the scenes.
I think so, yeah. Well, this has been good. I'm excited. Matthew, or Father Matthew, it was great to meet you, man.
Yeah, me too. Thanks, Christian.
So, just finished up Paul's first estuary. I'm not exactly sure. He was supposed to do a second one. I went and got some lunch, and I don't know where he might have ended up, but it was intense. I'll probably put the interview I did with Father Matthew, but just seeing if, I guess we didn't do Estuary round 2. But here's some folks. Look who we got. We got Marcus, and we got Mr. Heers here. Hey, you wanna do a little man on the street with me?
Sure, I'll do it.
All right, I've got you up here. All right.
Love it. It's looking good, man.
Yeah, here we go.
Just hold it?
Yeah, you just hold
Just
it.
hold it.
Hey, John Heers.
What's the word?
What's the word? How's ARC?
You know what's going on here?
No, I don't.
I'm gonna tell you. Am I looking here or am I looking
Yeah,
here?
either way. Either way.
I'll tell you what's going on here.
What's going on?
These guys are analysts who have analyzed properly. And it all makes sense. And the system's checked out. And the rocket's ready to go. But it's got no soul. The pilot's got no soul. And they can't embody it by talking about it. But by the way, I'd rather have a rocket ready to launch than no rocket at all. It's like a good thing. It's a good thing to have a rocket on the launch pad. I'm cool with that. But you can't do a systems analysis to create a soul. Like, that's my take.
You guys with Symbolic World kind of hung out last night. Was that part of the conversation?
Yeah, I got to there. It started with architecture as a tell. Like, if you look around, you can already tell what's going on. So they chose this warehouse. Yeah, that's right. And that was really interesting. It was a little harsh for me because you got a lot of people. At some point you herd them, I don't know, or whatever. Are you having a good time?
Yeah, this has been good. It's good to catch up with people I met last year at Symbolic World. It's good to connect. I've never connected with Paul Vanderklay. It's good to kind of like, he's
Paul's
different.
tall.
Paul is, and I'm short.
Paul, have you guys ever heard of Paul Mulkeski? He played for the Bucks in the 1980s. Paul Vanderklay is Paul Mulkeski, but nobody knew it. Right, somebody out there is laughing right now.
That's right.
Trust me.
So what is Heavy Things Lightly, First Things? What do you got coming up? What do you got going on?
You know what I got going on right now? So our podcast basically is like, hey, the old world might actually be able to inform the new world. We should probably look at things in a different light, da-da-da-da-da. And we're in the race right now. I did a little pod. Blow up is a terrible word. It was about race, and I was doing a lot of cursing. Because there's this white nationalism moment going on. And then they add Christian on the end, and you're like, wait a minute, hold on, what is this? And we got into it. And for the Orthodox people, I'm an Orthodox guy. There's a particular attraction to the idea that we can have a culture that's our own. But whiteness, like, bro, what's whiteness? It's kind of dumb. It's sort of a reaction to blackness, which was a creation of white people. Because if you think about it, the race scientists of the Enlightenment created these categories. The category before was Ethiopian, or, you know, it was Libyan, or it was Greek. It wasn't, the Greeks didn't go like, we're all white people together. It didn't work like that. Sorry, am I on a tangent?
It's fine. So I guess what do you got going? You got some projects that y'all are kind of working towards.
So we send people into the field 2 years at a time. Think like Christian Peace Corps. People go mission. Oh, it's missionary work. Yeah, but there's a certain missionary work tends to be I want to share Jesus. So we say, yeah, go for it. But you share as a person doing beautiful things. It's not necessarily that we give people the Bible.
And there's
They
some
ask.
from other conversations I've had with you. It also seems like there's the big idea is for that person to be transformed
That's it.
in that process.
That's beautiful. Well, it's true. If you live hard, so one of the things we're comfortable in the West. That's not a bad thing. But sometimes it's a spirit killer. And so sometimes you have to really dedicate yourself. It's like the army, right? And we just offer an opportunity to dedicate yourself to something difficult, and then that is transformative. Now, the next question is that sounds selfish. Not if you're doing a good thing, not if you're actually relating to people, helping facilitate their projects, you're actually delivering cool stuff. What's the I don't get the selfishness. You know?
So the other thing that
That's one of our projects, yeah.
you've got
restaurant.
you've got the restaurant Supra
You're
Tamada.
invited.
Oh, to the restaurant.
You'd come to one of our Supras.
I would like to. I hopefully.
Dude, I'll hook you up.
Well, the thing is that a little birdie told me that you might be doing a Supra at Midwest Estuary.
Oh, can I talk about that?
Yes. Let's break
So
it.
the Estuary cats, including Paul Mokeski, Vanderclay, we are doing a Supra there, guys. So that means that at some point there's going to be some folks that get around a table and we do Georgian toasting tradition. So the toasting tradition is very unique and special. It's tied to the agape feast. So I think all Christians of all persuasions have heard of like an agape feast. Well, that's an actual thing that sort of died out, and then the Georgians, I would say, kept it.
They conserved it.
They conserved it, yeah. And so in some ways, I've adopted it because I lived in Georgia, yada yada. I love that place. So we throw these, and Paul's like, let's do one. So Jonathan's going to be there at Peugeot, and I'm going to come, and I'm going to I'm going to go to the estuary and participate, and then throw the feast. So I can't wait.
Yeah. So we're gonna. These groups bump in, they kind of bleed on each other a little bit. It's cool.
Well, that's what's going on here.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's a good thing. It's good to be together.
That's right. Good to have a level of communion. All right, thanks, John.
Guys, check us out. Peace out.
All right, I'm here with John Lumgar. We met through Teo in the corner. He was on the podcast. We did a live podcast promoting Jazzy Cow, your video project, but you're here at ARC this week doing media. That's your media station back
It
there.
is.
And
It is indeed.
You're recording interviews that are I don't know. You're broadcasting to all the major networks and those types of things.
Mainly American, Australian, and it was, if those networks want to speak to someone here, then we become the link.
Okay, so, but beyond that, so you helped at ARC last time too.
Yeah, it's the same job.
So you kind of get to be here and you're kind of in a corner of ARC.
Yeah, in a corner, representing the corner in the corner. There we are.
What's your perspective from that vantage point?
Well, more last year actually, I think my observations were a bit sharper because we were a bit more in the thoroughfare. And we're a bit more tucked away here. And so last year it was quite fun because you'd see people you see on YouTube and you go, that person and that person, they know one another. They're clearly quite close. That's kind of interesting. And then you see people having conversations. You were like, "Oh, I wonder whether that person knows what that person's opinion is about this or that."
Yeah, I was talking to one of the ARC attendees here, and he's working here, but he's skipping school, his college classes, to be here because he follows like a lot of the people on the internet, and he's like, "This is like a fever dream." And he's like, "I'm gonna wake up at the end of ARC and figure this out." But so related to like how you and I connected, like what's been going on with Jazzy Cow?
So, well, when we did our podcast, I was doing the Kickstarter. We sadly failed to meet our goal, but then off the back of that, I got an invite to Nashville, pitched it in Nashville.
Which we had dinner.
That was after the pitch, but yeah. And because you happened to be in Nashville at the time.
That's right.
It was great timing. And then, I pitched it, got some interest, had an investor lined up who subsequently has dropped out. So I'm now on the lookout for an investor, all of that. But that's been a fun process. And so, doing normal life a bit to try and earn some money, which is what I'm doing here.
Grinding it out at ARC, doing his. We've got the corner John's corner of the corner at ARC.
My corner of the corner, yeah.
All right, man. Well, it's good to catch up with you.
Yeah, really great.
I'm here with Marcus from the channel MoreChrist. Got to hang out with Marcus at the Christ and Culture Conference in Galway, Ireland before ARC, and it was a privilege to meet him and see what the work that he's doing over there. He had Dr. Martin Shaw, Paul Kingsnorth, Paul Vanderclay, and Father McDonough, and then we did some Estuary and some Irish cultural events. Have you had any time to reflect on the Christ and Culture Conference?
Well, not to any great extent yet, because I would tend to be a bit of a slow thinker, not like some of you guys that are good off the cuff. But there are some key threads that are sort of coming to me at this point, and we're already there before the event. So one of the key things was basically going beyond the thinky-talky stuff and trying to embody. So one way I look at it is, and this might sound a bit thinky-talky, but Plato's tripartite soul, and getting that intellectual element, the appetitive element, the aesthetics and so on, and speaking to the heart. So to structure the day in the way that we did, where you had the time for the conversations, and you had your songs, your singing, things like that, and then we had our we put an emphasis on the aesthetics. So we had the church, we juxtaposed the church with the hall in the evening, and down to the simple things like dimming the lights and putting the spotlight on the girls at the front, I think made a big difference. So I'm learning as I go along, and then once I speak with people here at ARC, like Rafe Kelly, I start to think about new ways that we might take this corner into a new space with events, and the importance of movement and things like that especially. I think speaking to Rafe really resonated with me, and likewise speaking to Heather Pollington, Jonathan's artist, the illustrator for the Snow White story, that really resonated with me, because she is, I think, trying to embody many of the same themes that are coming to me, and I could feel a movement of the spirit in her, and I think she's going to do something wonderful. She shared a bit of an idea about what her and her partner, one of her partners, Aidan, the iconographer, are looking to do with a chapel in England with the saints of the British Isles and so on. So to have a place of beauty, goodness and truth that tells those stories and is done in a way that is aesthetically engaging and so on. I say that as we are in this.
That's been brought up a couple of times.
This box. So one of my key influences was Roger Scruton, and he was also an influence in Douglas Murray. So to hear Douglas Murray mention it in a kind of self-deprecating way this morning was no surprise, and I thought it was quite refreshing, really, because we do want to embody the true, the good and the beautiful with these gatherings. So I guess there's limitations once you have 4,000 versus the numbers that we're gathering with our little TLC gatherings.
Some art present.
That's true.
And on these, and they do have these ideas, these kind of virtues up on the signage to steel man.
Yeah,
the steel structure.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's entirely bad. That's for sure. I just would like to see, maybe if we were to be radical about it, take them out to the woods with Martin Shaw and Rafe Kelly, get some movement, get some storytelling.
Yeah, that would be radical.
Have the fairy lights.
Those are the questions about size and scale that are interesting, related to facilitating rebuilding the whole thing about the civilizational moment, and how do we capture that or build upon that, and it's, some of the critique here is that it's been very modern in the approach of just ideas of the mind, so.
I will say though, I don't want us to become sneering towards what they're trying to do here. I think there's a danger that we might do that and get inordinately prideful about what we're doing versus what Peterson and those folks are doing.
Ooh.
And yeah, we need to be cautious about that, I think. And I think there's certainly a place for what Jordan is doing and the importance of having that mass appeal, because we can complain on the back of...
But we're here.
Yes, exactly. Well, we can complain on the back of the successes that he's having at that popular level, and they provide a cover for us maybe in some ways. I don't know if that's the right way to look at it. Whereas you have to. There's a time for everything under heaven. You know, there's time to fight. There's time for peace. There's a time for war. So I don't share necessarily all the critique, the TLC critique, and the reticence towards Jordan and some of those folks in civilization and Christianity. It's obviously very complex.
Well, I mean, to your point of like your conference being Christ and culture, like culture and civilization are very closely tied together. You know, so that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think, and Jonathan Pajot, I think, is one of the more inspiring figures who is, I think, straddling that line. And I think Jonathan would recognize that civilization, to Oz Guinness's point this morning, is culture at a certain scale, and the cathedral could be our model for that. So I would generally agree in some ways with Kingsnorth and those folks, influenced by Illich, about the importance of conviviality and trying to live out the Christian life at those kind of local scales and so on. But then you look at the cathedral, which isn't convivial in some ways, but it casts our eyes heavenward. It has that kind of aesthetic dimension. It speaks to our hearts, and it's got a beautiful intellectual quality to it, embodied in stone. So
and across time.
And yes, exactly. And it's a past, present, and future coming together. A lot of the people that worked in the cathedrals would have known that they weren't going to see it come to fruition, so they had that sacrificial view to the future, that they were serving future generations through this. Of course, there's dark sides, like the way the labour was done in the Middle Ages, as it is today, unfortunately, in many places. But there's certainly beautiful qualities to it. It was one of the things that actually came to the fore in my conversation with Heather Pollington pertaining to things like the arts. And with Illich and figures like that, you see this element of the corruption of the best is the worst. But I would also suggest that there is the spiral upwards, that with the spirit moving through history, we can ascend to new heights. And whilst technologies are not neutral, they do have their pros and cons, and there's certain introductions that might be made which take us to a height that we mightn't have had before. And here we are communicating across the internet with Christians around the world. And I am very blessed and grateful to meet people like yourself, Paul Vanderklay, some of those folks that I'm cognizant that I wouldn't have been able to meet if it wasn't for the internet. And
for ARC in a certain way.
And for ARC and things like that. Yeah, Jordan Peterson in some ways has brought us together.
I think there's truth to that.
There's good fruit that's been born of him and his work, and distinctly Christian good fruit. Some of my friends have been baptized on the back of that Peterson Pajot PVK pipeline. So I'm going to say I want to be humble and not take an inordinate kind of hermeneutic of suspicion to what Jordan and those folks are doing, whilst yes, hold their feet to the fire and things like that whenever it's appropriate, and that you do see that prophetic quality to certain people in the corner and Kingsnorth and some of these guys, but to the kind of archetypal understanding, we are all to be priests, prophets, kings, queens, you know.
I'm a priest, but I'm not everybody's priest.
You're not the internet's priest, or
there you go.
PBK is not the internet's pastor.
Marcus, thanks, man, and everyone check out MoreChrist. And are you going to be posting anything about the Christ and Culture Conference on your channel or anything?
Maybe after. I would like the ideas and different elements to come to hit the different levels of my being over the next couple of days. So.
All right, we'll be on the lookout. All right, thanks, Marcus.
Thanks so much, Christian.
All day, overtime hours for bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away. Drive back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn shame what the world's got to for people like me and people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. All it is, we're living in a new world.
All right, I'm here with Zack Dasher. Many of y'all will know as Jordan Hall's pastor, one of Jordan Hall's pastor, and he has a podcast called
Not Yet Now.
Not Yet Now, and I just wanted to ask him, like, I know I heard y'all talking earlier about that you called Jordan after watching a Paul Vanderklay video,
Yes.
and you had not, I guess, really listened to Paul that much. But what was that?
No, I'd never heard of him. And I'd also never seen Jordan in his natural habitat, so it was like,
What would you describe Jordan's natural habitat?
well, I've never seen him like in his sphere of influence, and I've never watched any of the podcasts and discussions that he's been involved in. I know our personal discussions, but I didn't know him in that world, so it was very interesting. So I got sucked into the algorithmic vortex
Of John Vervaeke and Paul
and
Vanderklay.
I went all in. I did the whole thing.
So you're aware of kind of this corner downstream from the Peterson phenomenon.
I'm now aware. Okay, so I'm aware of it. I'm not an expert by any stretch, but I've been properly introduced.
And this is deep corner right here. I mean,
Yeah, this is it right
and
here.
so, yeah, but you've had on your podcast, you've done 2 conversations with Jordan and then one with his wife.
Yes.
And I would encourage everybody to go check those out if you've followed along Jordan's story. But my question I want to ask you just about, like, being here. What are you experiencing at ARC? What have you found beneficial being here? What is your thoughts so far?
On the conference.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been good. I've got tons of notes in my phone that I should pull up, but it's been encouraging to see I would say an eclectic and ecumenical kind of group that's come together. I like that, though. I think it's great. Not everybody here has a kingdom perspective. I mean, I certainly do, but it's been great to kind of see these worlds converging. And I think that it's happening in a moment in history where we just talked about this. I don't know who said this originally, but like a nihilism-induced conversion. I think a lot of people are getting to the end of the secular utopian promise and realizing that that's a cistern that doesn't hold water. And so this conversation here has been about let's pragmatically look at that. And I think that the King of Kings and the Kingdom of God has a lot to say about that.
That's definitely been my sense that's like the core and the foundation, and some of this is kind of looking at that, and I appreciate that. So, and you've had a chance now to meet some of Jordan's natural habitat connections and stuff. Have you had a conversation with Paul Vanderklay or anything?
Yes, I went and met him last night, and we got to talk for a little bit. He was a really nice guy, interesting. What's weird is this conference. So me and Jordan's worlds collide here because I'm seeing a lot of people that I kind of run in circles with here that I've known for a while, and then Jordan's kind of runs in this circle, which is so. How is it? That's so weird that we both end up living on the same street, right? And then here we are in London at the art conference with his group and my group all kind of converging.
You have some political background, right?
I do.
Is that kind of the connection you're talking about?
That and the guys from the Colson Institute are here.
Okay,
Focus on the Family. Those guys are here. I also have a media company, so I saw some other. I saw the Harmons last night with Angel Studios are here.
Okay.
So yeah, there's like a lot of folks here that I'm running into. I'm like, Eric Metaxas is here.
Yep.
So there's a lot of that crowd. Oz Guinness. So yeah, we got a lot of. That's more the kind of the world I swim in. But it's super encouraging to see kind of what's happening.
We were just having a conversation right before this, and speaking of like Oz Guinness, and he's kind of been in the apologetics world for a while. And you said you had William Lane Craig on your podcast just
I did
recently,
yes.
And you said something about, you asked him a question about beauty. Could you tell that story real quick?
Well, because he has a lane that he is in, and
a lane. William Lane Craig.
Yeah, pun not intended. And he completely owns and dominates that lane. I haven't seen anyone like win in a debate against him. He's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But I asked him the question about just how beauty intersects with apologetics and with our pursuits, and he's like, he said, I don't have anything to say about that. I haven't really considered that. So it was interesting because that's something that I've been considering a lot over the last 10 years, and it's honestly a big part of our ministry. So the role of beauty that it plays, because our conversation was like, does certain apologetics have some limitations? His work was very helpful for me in a time when I was really questioning my faith.
Yeah.
And so I give a lot of honor to the work that he's done.
Yep.
I just found that to be interesting whenever he said that.
An apologetic of beauty. I think that's in the water here. That's in the conversation here.
Yeah.
Thanks, Zach.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
And so when we look at this conference, and then so many of this conference basically say we want to go back to live where we're confident, but it's also there's a lot.
It's simply repeating the most plausible pattern based on its existing data set.
Right, so it looks like it's understanding. It's very good at mimicking understanding.
What's up, everyone? This is Jim. Jim is from the Melbourne, Australia area. Say hi, Jim.
How you going, fellas?
Hey,
everybody.
So I met Jim the very first day of ARC, sitting at the table in the opening session with Benjamin Boyce, and we had a little conversation then, but we didn't see each other since then. And we shared a table at the Future of AI panel discussion dinner on the second night of ARC, and so we've been having a conversation about conversations. So first thing I want to do is I want to invite anybody that knows in Estuary world that knows people in Australia to reach out to Jim. His Twitter handle is
Life on Mars 68.
Life on Mars 68. And if you're watching this, you're in the corner, you know about Estuary in Australia world, reach out, shoot him a DM. He's kind of interested in that. So that's point number one. Secondly, we can ask about, I want to ask you about this conference, or this section of the conference, the Future of AI. Do you have any initial thoughts or takeaways or whatever?
I mean, I was interested in the intersection of technology and humanity and where we're going. It's, for me, challenging. I guess in the last 6-7 years, I've been on a journey. Self-improvement, trying to master what this human experience is. In part, as a technologist myself in cybersecurity, I've always interested in technology, but the AI in particular, is it an amplifying factor? I'm not a doomerist per se. I don't believe in AI as being the existential death of humans. In fact, I sometimes think, and speaking like what I listen to in terms of podcasts, I'll probably come down to the accelerationist aspect to it. And it will, I think, in time support human evolution in ways we don't know yet or predictively understand as yet. So that's my ideas at the moment. So yeah.
What's been your overall experience at ARC?
Yeah, a mix of folk. I mean, you got 4,100 people here. I came for specific ideas. There are a lot of I get the conservative ideas of tradition, restoration of the Western ideals. But for me, it's like, the technology interests me, is like, how do you reshape within that? You cannot go back. You must incorporate modernity, and the challenges of that. And so I'm fascinated by this particular talk with Peterson and AI and digital identity. Yeah, so more than this, the experience of listening to others and their sort of awareness of the challenges. So, yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, I want to add another person to the conversation if they're up for it. And we'll see if we can get everyone in frame. I don't know if we can. Scoot on in here. This is Upcycle, as many in the corner will know. Yeah. And Ups, so were you here for this AI conversation?
Yep.
Okay. First off, one of the reasons I'm doing this, I did this, we met the first day at our table, but we just had a conversation that was he's been in kind of this downstream of the Peterson phenomenon in Australia, not really felt like he could find a conversation. He's been writing a lot about the things that he thinks about and understands, but do you know anybody that you could shout that's in from TLC, like corner in that area off the top of your head?
That they are really into artificial intelligence?
No, into like the corner that are in the corner doing like estuary stuff.
That they are really into estuary stuff.
Yeah, that's
Well, a lot of people.
from Australia.
From Australia. No, I can definitely think of at least 2-3 people that they can guide you to find someone there.
Yeah.
For sure, Afrail knows President Foxman can have access to what is called ElseNet. So a lot of people, they can go there and they can help you find any local estuary groups that they are going on there. Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, we're evangelizing Estuary right now at the AI conference because it's the answer to AI, obviously. So what about your experience with this conversation with Peterson and the panel? What's your kind of like big takeaway?
Well, it was very interesting for mainly for 2 reasons, 3 reasons. The overall topic was great, and it's very relevant. Secondly, I really find it admirable that Jordan Peterson admitted that he's using ChatGPT to help him write things. He even said that the 13th chapter from his book 12 Rules of Life was written by ChatGPT. So that's really interesting.
I couldn't tell if he said he wrote a 13th chapter or if there's a 13th chapter in the book. I couldn't tell which one he meant by that.
No, he used LLMs to write that chapter specifically.
Okay, so it was a social experiment.
Yeah. So it will be great to go and revisit that book and see this about the style of that specific chapter. So, a lot of authors, they are using ghostwriters, and they never admitted it. So at least he was bold enough to say that, yeah, I've used it as a social experiment, and I am experimenting with this new tool. So that's really cool. And the last thing that I've noticed is something that one of the experts that was part of the panel, I don't remember his name, somebody from Silicon Valley, he incorrectly stated that Alan Turing mentioned the Chinese room argument, and it wasn't Alan Turing. He never said that. It was John Searle. So, correcting the human expert.
With the trivia. I thought the interesting thing about the dynamic of the panel was that it was it was contentious. It was, there was an intensity to it, and Jordan was curious, honestly curious, and vulnerably ignorant at times.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of okay boomer from the dude Solana guy, and Mary Harrington was feisty in her defense of what she really believes about AI being just a bicycle, like a exercise bike for our mind. And then there was major questions about the philosophical underpinnings of what we should be doing. And then, in typical ARC fashion, somebody made the implicit explicit and pointed to religion as the question. The young guy,
at the very end. Yeah.
Well, so the Solana guy said, my greatest concern is that the masses make bad decisions for themselves. So he's coming into contact with he's coming into the same structure or problem that people like Marx identified, elites have always kind of carried about. And I think he doesn't want to end up there, but he kind of he's asked the question of how do you make people better? And then the last statement from the guy was talking about the religious underpinnings of society or of civilization. And I think that, I don't know who tells the story, but I heard my pastor used to tell a story sometimes about this atheist journalist that wrote about the great needs in Africa. And he says, as an atheist, Africa needs Christianity. It needs Christians because of all of he said, because for whatever reason, they go in there and they help the communities and they help the people. And he was an atheist who was arguing for the need for Christianity, and so, or for religion, and I think that was poked at there right at the very end. And anyways, those are my thoughts. Jim, thanks for taking. That took courage. It always takes courage to talk on the internet for the first time.
Yeah, definitely.
And I thank Peterson for that example. I attribute that a lot to him, and I think Paul Vanderklay for the model of randos, which I was telling you about. And Ups, I'm glad you walked by, dude. And so if you're, again, like connected to Estuary and stuff, what was one more time on your handle at Twitter to DM?
Life on Mars 68.
Life
68.
on Mars 68. All right, guys, thanks.
Bye.
Nice to meet y'all. Appreciate it.
Richmond, north of Richmond. Yeah, of course, yeah. What's up, everybody? This is Jants. Jants, yeah. Jants. We were table mates at the Future of AI conversation with Peterson, and help me out on Mary Harrington, and who was the Solana guy?
Mike Solana.
And do you know anybody else?
Mike Solana and Brendan from the Cosmos Institute.
Okay, so because you pay attention to that stuff a lot closer than I do, but you've got your own YouTube channel. You're just getting started up. And what's the name?
It's Order and Chaos.
Order and Chaos. It's
mostly video essays, kind of in the Peterson meaning space as well.
Yes, Order-X-Chaos
is the handle. Yeah.
Is the handle.
Yeah.
And so Peterson meaning space. We know people in our meaning space that are very familiar with such things. And what's your Twitter handle again?
It's my first name, last name, Jens Honak.
Jens Honak. All right. So I don't know if I'll get all the people's stuff in the description for this one, but I wanted to get your first initial responses to the AI conversation. What's kind of...
Dude, I think it's really interesting. So a big reason why I'm here is because Peterson has been talking about the intersection of meaning and kind of religiosity, myth, narrative, and AI. And he's onto something in that we're programmed by narrative, and large language models are also programmed by narrative. So I think people don't understand how analogous the cognitive systems are.
Okay.
And I think he's going to be at the forefront of understanding that, and through the people at the panel. So
at least on the forefront of being curious enough and willing to even be humbled.
100%.
Because I felt like there were a few okay boomer moments from some of the younger guys on the panel towards Peterson, but he took it in stride, and he is approaching this with a type of humility, I think, and obviously concerned. But I don't know. Was there one point or one person's response or during the conversation that stuck out to you at all?
Well, I was surprised that Solana, who's pretty deep in tech, isn't more aware of how imminent kind of the transition is going to be. I was talking to some people after, and it was basically the writers on the panel depend on AI not getting that good that quickly, and they kind of preach that as well, where it's already probably further ahead than what they realize.
And what are the implications of that from your perspective?
Well, it's going to be a crazy world, man. I think there's 3 years to where this can take you to another level in terms of if you learn to use the tools and kind of lock yourself in, and got to figure out what comes out of there after.
Jens, it's good to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for doing a little mini interview with me.
Of course, my pleasure.
Oh man, so it's a long walk down this hallway, and I don't really have any major thoughts off the top of my head that I'm not already going to cover, but I guess I'll do a day in review when I get back to the room. So actually, I guess I could do it now. Day in review. No, I can't. I'm gonna have to think too much. All right. I don't really want to do a full walkthrough. I know that's probably gotten redundant for you guys. And this day was different. So I felt like I found out why I was here today, why I was at ARC. I think I knew it while I was at Christ and Culture. I think that came clear sooner. But the specifics of why I was at ARC, I think today that became more clear. And you know, maybe this is how I'll start the video. At the end, let's start at the end. End of day 2 at ARC. You're going to see a bunch of interviews. You're going to see Paul Vanderklay leading Estuary at ARC. You're going to see the TLC and its spirit and its fellowship. At work. So today, I found out why I was at ARC. I mean, I knew it was the right choice to make for the channel, for myself, for this corner of the internet. But today I felt like I found out why I was like supposed to be here. And had a lot of interviews today, and what you're gonna see is randos and not so randos in the TLC, and some people that are more connected in different ways. And the privilege that I had to capture Paul Vanderklay leading Estuary at ARC and what that meant. That is why, that's a big reason, one of the big reasons why I was here, was to capture and present that Paul Vanderklay leading Estuary at ARC. So we're starting from the end. We're starting from the end today. All right.